Hello there, very good evening and welcome to Primetime News here on News First, where the people come first. You're joining me, Naveksha Gunasekara. We start off by taking a look at your headlines.
Port workers take to the streets and threaten severe action if unjust taxes are not lifted. Professionals give the government one more week to withdraw unjust tax. CEB takes a step back. No power cuts today and tomorrow. Constitutional Council calls for applications for independent commissions. Leader of the opposition questions renewed attempt to delay elections. Appointments to commissions not a reason to delay elections, says the Election Commissioner General. Over 12,000 affidavits seeking the release of Vasantha Budalige.
In your top story tonight, Sri Lanka's port workers have warned of a continued struggle if the government does not withdraw its unjust tax regime. Hundreds of port workers protested on Monday in Colombo during their lunch break.
The Sri Lankan government has imposed an income tax regime from 6% to 36% on all monthly earnings of over 100,000 rupees, including the salary, allowances and non-cash benefits. Port workers who protested during the lunch break today inside the Colombo harbour pointed out that the imposition of an unjust tax regime has led to a plethora of other serious issues. Port workers that gathered under the theme "Rally Against Unjust Tax Policies" and to empty workplaces during the lunch break decided to march from the Colombo harbour to the number 3 gate. Executive officers of the Sri Lanka Ports Authority, Samagi Employees Union Federation, Nidahas Sevaka Sangamaya, Independent Port Workers Union, Port Engineers Union, Independent Dock Workers Union of the Colombo Dockyard, as well as the All Ceylon Ports General Employees supported the protest. A heavy police force was deployed for the security at the harbour gate, and this was what transpired when port workers decided to exit the harbour premises.
We will not allow for any vessel to berth at the CICT, SAGT and the dockyard. We are not prepared to pay extortion money to the rogues in Parliament. We will launch a strong trade union action if our grievances are ignored. We will not be held accountable for the local and international pressure thereafter. Ranil Wickramasinghe, who introduced the unjust tax, will be responsible. This struggle is taking place at the CPC and all other institutions, and not only at the port. If this tax regime is not withdrawn, we will stop the operations at the port from tomorrow. All the trade unions in the port have gathered here. We will bring everyone else together tomorrow against this tax regime. We will continue with this struggle until the tax regime is withdrawn. The rulers will have to decide where this country will end up. The executive grade officers are also with us. As the Colombo harbour, we are ready to lead the charge to defeat the tax regime. We demand the government that comprises of 134 MPs to withdraw their tax regime. Tomorrow there will be no protests. Tomorrow all the workers will walk out in protest. Ranil has two options. 1. Withdraw the tax regime. 2. Resign and leave. If you attempt to get involved with the ECT after the port workers walk out, that will be the point where you go wrong. We will win both these struggles.
Following an hour-long protest, port workers returned to their workstations.
Will the Sri Lankan government take measures to reduce the tax burden?
On the one hand, the expenses have increased. On the other, bank interests have increased. It is clear that you have to bear a lot of pressure. There is nothing impossible to understand. But what is the alternative? Some people are asking me if this will work for 225 of us as well. Yes, this tax applies to all 225 MPs as well, and we will show no mercy to anyone. In order to understand that there is no other alternative to overcome this crisis, we need to face this situation. As a government, we stopped paying debt in April of last year. But in terms of how to find a solution beyond that, the International Monetary Fund is the only way for us. So we will go and talk about restructuring. If those countries give us relief, we don't need to reduce anything. The government of that country has to bear the sacrifices made for it. All those governments hope that when a sacrifice is made for us in a foreign country, we will also bear some kind of responsibility and commitment from their people's tax money. They are not ready to shoulder the burden of the people of a foreign country. If we don't make this agreement that we are trying to make with the IMF, what will be the situation we will face? You may recall what happened from June to August 2022 and the inconveniences suffered by the people in the country. Massive political changes emerged due to the economic crisis. We have to face a situation beyond this.
This tax reduction is done according to the tax bill passed by the Parliament in December. So while doing this, the amount of tax to be paid has gone up a lot with the tax exemptions that existed in the past. By now the law is in effect. These things are implemented within the legal framework. So if these things need to change further, we have to make policy decisions again and make legal amendments. The Professionals Trade Union Collective convened a press conference in Colombo today and claimed that the statements being made by the government to impose taxes unjustly are unacceptable.
What we have to say collectively is that we are ready to pay taxes. However, we are not ready to accept this failed, destructive tax regime which will shrink the economy and destroy state service. According to what we know, the role of the IMF is to advise the country and build certain agreements. As far as we know, the advice given by the IMF so far is to reduce fraud and corruption, reduce government expenditure, but not to go for destructive methods that shrink the country's economy and the gross national product. Another thing we must state now is that the country will be receiving the money from the IMF in the near future. Under such circumstances, it must be stated that it is wrong for professionals to take action of this sort. The truth is that we do not even know how much progress has been achieved even after the staff level agreement. Not just that, we do not believe that there is an agreement among the principal creditors.
The
Union of High Court Judges started challenging this by asking for a writ order. The Honourable Court is considering this writ. Two main factors will be taken into consideration. One of them is the conduct of the court judges. The reason for this is that no one, not even the president, being able to control this. The second reason is that the judges of this country do not have any other solutions than going to court to preserve the independence of the judiciary. Based on this, the honourable courts have decided to release a stay order to prevent this taxation. That means the honourable court accepts what the honourable High Court judges have said as professionals of this country. That means there is a problem in the country's tax regime. We will also be taking measures that are suitable for us. As professionals, we'd like to know when our issues will be paid attention to. This government has taken us to the middle of a river and pushed us into it. They're challenging us to save our own lives. Now the people are wondering what is happening. They're trying to create an unnecessary conflict between the public and us. This is very unnecessary. We'd like to tell the people our profession is challenged. The time when everything in our lives, starting from the plate of food and the bus fare being taxed, is not far away. This is why we're demanding a tax policy. We must let the government know that if they do not pay attention to us, we will get them to pay attention to us. We will give the government 1 week. Next week, the entirety of Colombo will hear our voice.
40 organizations have joined the Union of Professionals at present.
The Engineering Services Professionals Association convened a media briefing in Colombo.
රුපියල් ලක්ෂයක්
The true value of a salary of 100,000 rupees now is about 40,000 rupees or 45,000 rupees. 100,000 rupees is about 275 US dollars. This is a tax imposed on someone who earns a salary of 275 US dollars. What are the benefits we get from this tax? This tax scheme and high cost of living causes a huge risk of professionals leaving the country. This is the cause for many issues. Usually when people go abroad, they travel individually, but when people in engineering profession leave the country, they take their families with them. Because of this, we cannot expect any foreign remittances from them. This is a very problematic situation.
The Ceylon Electricity Board said that there will be no power outages on Monday and Tuesday.
Nalin Dilangakon, the chairman of the Ceylon Electricity Board, confirmed that there will be no power cuts on Monday and Tuesday. Over the past 4 days, the Ceylon Electricity Board imposed daily power cuts of 2 hours and 20 minutes without the approval of the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka. The Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka last gave approval for power cuts on the 25th and 26th of January 2023. The public were not made aware of the power cut schedule for the past 4 days, and the only source to ascertain the power cut period was the CEB's official website.
The Engineers Union of the CEB says although it is ready to provide a continuous supply of power to support students sitting for the GCE advanced level examinations, arbitrary decisions have hampered it.
The Engineers Union and other employees are committed to supporting A-level students, but we are unable to provide an uninterrupted supply of electricity due to the arbitrary decisions of rulers. That is beyond our control. We express our regret over it. Trade unions will not at any point work towards disrupting the supply of electricity.
Members of the 43rd Brigade who arrived at the Human Rights Commission to present facts on power outages today pointed out that authorities are ignoring the ability to generate sufficient electricity through hydropower.
The Power and Energy Minister's claim that the CEB requires a further 5 billion is false. The CEB has sufficient water in the reservoirs to produce over 700 gigawatt hours of power. Last year that number was only 600 gigawatt hours. To generate and supply power continuously during the A-level period, they would only require 2 extra gigawatts. The CEB has the ability to generate the power using hydropower. The minister is now on a mission to increase electricity tariffs using the inability to provide power to the A-level students as the scapegoats.
Meanwhile, Chairman of the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka, Janaka Ratnayaka, has requested the Director General of the Mahaveli Authority in writing to release water from Mahaveli reservoirs sufficient to generate at least 2 gigawatt hour of electricity for the duration of the advanced level examination until the 17th of February. His letter notes, the PUCSL has observed that Mahaveli reservoirs hold sufficient water to produce 778 gigawatt hours of electricity, adding that this capacity is 100 gigawatt hours more than the capacity it possessed during the same period last year. The chairman of the PUCSL has also written to the chairman of the CEB, notifying him that Mahaveli reservoirs possess sufficient water to generate electricity continuously to provide an uninterrupted supply of power for the duration of the GCE advanced level exam. The letter further notes that the PUCSL chairman has informed the Mahaveli authority to release water sufficient to produce 2 gigawatt hours of hydropower per day. In his letter, the PUCSL chairman iterates that the demand for electricity has reduced by around 14% compared to the same period last year. The letter says if an additional cost is incurred when providing a continuous supply of electricity until the 17th of February, the CEB can recover the cost through the amended electricity tariffs as per the agreement reached at the Human Rights Commission.
For the first time in Sri Lankan history, the Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka has filed a contempt of court case with the Supreme Court against the Secretary to the Ministry of Power and Energy, Chairman of the Ceylon Electricity Board and the Chairman of the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation. The Human Rights Commission has determined that the Secretary to the Ministry of Power and Energy, Chairman of the Ceylon Electricity Board and the Chairman of the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation have failed to abide by the settlement arrived at before the Commission with regard to the continuous supply of power during the period pertaining to the advanced level examination commencing from the 23rd of January to the 17th of February 2023. The Commission said it treats the said blatant disregard of the CEB to provide an uninterrupted electricity supply during the examination period is a gross violation of a child's right to education. A statement from the spokesperson of the Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka said the Commission found the unbecoming and outrageous behaviour of the state officials of the CEB as an intentional affront to justice and contempt of the Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka. The Commission reiterates the position that the sole purpose of this intervention is only to ensure the rights of citizens and in particular that of the AL candidates are duly honoured, and the Commission assures its continuous efforts in upholding the rule of law of the country and fundamental rights of its citizens.
12,000 affidavits signed seeking the release of Vasantha Muthalige, the convener of the Inter-University Students' Federation, who remains in remand custody under the Prevention of Terrorism Act, were handed over to the Attorney General on Monday.
Student activists from the Inter-University Students' Federation, along with activists from mass organizations, visited the Attorney General's department on Monday morning to hand over 12,000 affidavits that were signed seeking the release of Vasantha Muthalige. The group attempted to hand over these affidavits from the back entrance to the Attorney General's department, however those attempts were futile. Thereafter, 2 representatives were allowed to enter the Attorney General's department and the affidavits were taken inside using a police jeep. These 12,000 affidavits claim that the signatories were also engaged in the public protests that took place since March 2022 to bring about change by ending a corrupt and inefficient governance that burdened the people with a failed economy. The signees also claim that they were involved in the protests that took place on the 9th of July 2022. They also note that the Inter-University Students' Federation was just one organization among many that took part in those protests, and that Vasantha Muthalige is just one student leader who took part in the demonstrations. These 12,000 affidavits claim that they too should be treated in the same manner as Vasantha Muthalige.
We have 12,000 affidavits here. If they need 100,000 or even 1 million, the people are prepared to sign. The people say one thing: if Vasantha Muthalige is a terrorist for his involvement in the Aragalaya, then the millions who joined the protests are also terrorists. That means Vasantha Muthalige is the leader of the largest terror group in the world that has millions of members. If he is charged under the PTA, then charge us under the same.
News First with the people.
We'll be back after a short commercial break. Stay with us.
News First. Main sponsor.
Durden's Hospital, dedicated to you. Experience the best in healthcare at Durden's Hospital's new Alfred Place wing. We continue to evolve into a purpose-built hospital of the future, with an ambience built to deliver world-class care. Durden's Hospital, dedicated to you.
Sri Lanka's election headquarters.
The Constitutional Council has called for applications from the general public for positions in independent commissions.
Today, Sri Lanka's Constitutional Council decided to call for applications for positions in independent commissions. However, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa said a request was made to refrain from calling for applications for the National Election Commission as the date for the local government election has already been fixed. However, the acting director of communication at the Sri Lankan Parliament noted that a decision was made to call for applications for all the commissions. The Constitutional Council, chaired by the Speaker, met at the Parliamentary Complex today. It was decided to publish advertisements in local newspapers on the 1st of February 2023, calling for applications for the commissions as per Section 41B of the Constitution of Sri Lanka. The deadline to submit applications will be the 15th of February 2023. Following the passage of the 21st Amendment to the Constitution, an opportunity has arisen to appoint new members to the independent commissions, including the National Elections Commission. The President can only make the appointments on the recommendations of the Council.
3 members of the National Election Commission have received death threats. Police protection has been provided to their homes. In many occasions, they cannot come out of the house. In this kind of situation, I see it as completely unconstitutional for the Constitutional Council to call for applications to the Election Commission. I requested that it be done after the election. That is because an environment is created for the process of stopping this election. I made that statement to prevent it. We would also consider the existence of such a constitutional council in the future. We all agreed to keep these meetings confidential. I can't follow the Chatham House principles in the councils where conspiracies are taking place to take away the voting rights of the people of the country. I can't protect policies that protect secrecy.
Will the election be delayed following the appointments of a new commission?
There are positions of chairman and members of this commission, and these positions will change. Therefore, irrespective of who is appointed, we will have to operate as per the Local Authorities Elections Act number 16 of 2017 and under the provisions of the Constitution of the country. The Election Act does not mention anything related to delaying an election. We will conduct the election on the 9th of March. The United Left Front also commented on the matter.
They are trying to delay the process by appointing a committee. Ranil Wickremesinghe is back to his old tricks. He did the same to the United National Party in the past. He always appointed a committee when his leadership position was challenged and delayed the process. Due to such actions, the United National Party, which was one of the most powerful parties in the country, was reduced to nothing. He is doing the same to the country. He is trying to do so by changing the composition of the National Election Commission and appointing those close to him to the commission. Furthermore, he is toying with the people and their fate. Ranil Wickremesinghe is taking away the opportunity for the people to declare their mandate. The time is now for the people to awaken.
නීච වැඩේ. ඒ නිසා මේ රටේ ජනතාව මේක පිළිබඳව අවදි වෙන්න ඕනේ.
The chairman of the National Elections Commission had requested the president in writing to make the necessary interventions with regard to the death threats made against members of the NEC. The NEC chairman requested that an environment favourable to conduct a free and fair election be created. On Sunday, the Government Information Department said that Gazette notice with the signatures of the chairman and other members of the Election Commission required for the commencement of the local government election process had not yet been sent to the government press for printing. This statement came under strong criticism.
The director of the Government Information Department has completely turned into a biased individual. He does everything apart from his own duties. He submitted a letter stating that the Election Commission is breaching the law. We are disappointed. We pity him. The Election Commission is acting as per the law and to the letter. This statement has been issued without any understanding. There is a difference on when the elections take place and when the process is set to begin. The Director General has no understanding about this. Why did he make such a statement? Recently, we witnessed efforts being made to create an uncertainty over the election process. The Director General of Government Information made such a statement with the blessings of the government. This leads to uncertainty among the political parties and the public over the election.
Candidates from the Samangi Janabalawege who will be contesting for the Colombo Municipal Council at the local government election launched their campaign following multi-religious observances on Monday.
Candidates from the Samagi Janabalawege who will be contesting from Colombo were led by opposition leader Sajid Premadasa to engage in religious observances at the Hunupitiya Gangarama temple on Monday morning.
ඒ වගේම බෝධීන් වහන්සේ අවට තියෙන මේ අනිකුත් පුදු පූජා ආදී භාණ්ඩ සියල්ලක්ම එතුමාට පුංචි කාලේ ඉඳන් ගුරු පුරුදු. තාත්තා ජනාධිපති ධූරයේ වැඩ කරද්දී නෙවෙයි අගමැති ධූරයට ආපු මුල් කාල වකවානුවේ ඉඳලම එතුමා මේ පන්සලට ආවා ගියා.
Thereafter, the group visited the Colombo Grand Mosque for prayers and blessings. Thereafter, they visited the St. Anthony Shrine in Kochikade for a service and blessings. They also took part in religious observances at the Mayurapati Sri Bhadrakali Amman Kovil in Vallavatta. Leader of the National People's Power, Andhra Kumar Disanayaka, met with teachers and principals from the Mathura district.
We will bring a new constitution to the country. We will reduce the number of ministers. If parliamentarians switch sides, they will lose their parliamentary seat. This is because the foundation of our country has decayed. Secondly, a government free of fraud and corruption needs to be built in this country. We will do that. Thirdly, efficient public service will be created. We assure you that we will convert the country into a one that is accepted globally.
General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Pudujana Peramuna, Attorney Sagara Karyawasam, said the people have placed their trust in the SLPP.
We strongly believe in the people. We believe that they have placed their trust in us. The SLPP will claim victory at the upcoming local government election. We will act with the trust placed in us. We have a good plan. You will be able to see that plan in future.
හොඳ සැලැස්මක් තියෙනවා. ඒ සැලැස්ම ඉදිරි කාලෙදී ඔබ සැමට දැක ගන්න ලැබේවි. ප්‍රධාන විශාල ජනරාලි පවත්වන්න නැත්ද? අතරම අපි
No, we will decide on our next step based on all factors in the country at present. We will claim victory. That is for certain.
ජයග්‍රහණය නියතයි විශ්වාසයි.
Dala Salaha Perumal revealed that the SLPP had sent him a letter stating that he will be expelled from the party.
This is the time that the government leaders and the SLPP leaders are assuming that they can reach heaven by hanging on to the tail of the elephant. However, we have created a home for the 6.9 million voters who declared their mandate. I have been sent a letter from the party for breaching discipline. This is the letter sent by the party general secretary stating that I will be removed as an MP. This post was not given to me by the Port office. I am not afraid. If they wish, they can remove me. However, it belongs to the people of the Mathura district and not to those in that group who claim ownership of the flower bud that never blossoms.
Former Secretary General of the United Nations and Chairman of the Global Green Growth Institute, Ban Ki-moon, is scheduled to visit Sri Lanka on the 6th of February.
Ban Ki-moon will be visiting Sri Lanka at the invitation of President Ranil Wickremesinghe and will sign several agreements related to sustainable development in Sri Lanka as well as related to climate change. According to the President's senior advisor on climate change, Ruwan Wijewardena, during his visit, the Foreign Ministry and the Global Green Growth Institute are to sign a host country agreement and bilateral discussions are to take place. The former UN chief is expected to hold discussions on the Climate Change University proposed to be established in Sri Lanka.
Former Maldives President Abdul Gayoom met with Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe on Friday.
The former president of the Maldives is currently in Sri Lanka on a personal visit and was accompanied by his son Faris Maimun on his trip. Gayoom met with Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe at the President's office, where the two spoke about the bilateral ties between the two countries. The two spoke about the ways of improving the long-standing cooperation. He also thanked the Sri Lankan government for the strong and close bond the country maintained with the Maldives during his presidency. At the meeting, President Wickremesinghe thanked the Maldivian government for its continued support during its economic crisis, which began in 2021. The former Maldives president was conferred the Sri Lanka Mitra Vibhushana in 2008, which is the highest Sri Lankan honour given to non-citizens and is specially reserved for heads of state and heads of government with whom Sri Lanka maintains friendly relations.
The company owned by Asia's richest man Gautam Adani has issued a detailed rebuttal of allegations of wrongdoing by short seller Hindenburg Research.
In a document which runs to more than 400 pages, Adani Group says the report is a calculated attack on India. Later yesterday, Hindenburg said, quote-unquote, Adani failed to specifically answer 62 of our 88 questions detailed in its report. Adani Group, an Indian conglomerate, had more than $50 billion wiped off its stock market value last week. It also said that it had complied with all local laws and had made the necessary regulatory disclosures. Adani Group said in a 413-page document issued late yesterday, quote, all transactions entered into by us with entities who qualify as related parties under Indian laws and accounting standards have been duly disclosed by us, end quote. It went on to accuse the Hindenburg report of intending to enable the US-based short seller to book gains without citing evidence. It added, quote, this is rife with conflict of interest and intended only to create a false market in securities to enable Hindenburg, an admitted short seller, to book massive financial gains through wrongful means at the cost of countless investors, end quote. Indian billionaire Gautam Adani, who has invested in Sri Lanka, saw more than $20 billion wiped off his fortune last Friday. Hindenburg Research published a report accusing the Adani Group of engaging in decades of brazen stock manipulation and accounting fraud.
The Met Department forecasts that a well-marked low-pressure area of the southeast Bay of Bengal is likely to move west towards the eastern coast of Sri Lanka on the 1st of February.
Rainy conditions over the island are predicted to increase under the influence of a low-pressure area on 31st of January and 1st of February, and very heavy showers about 150 millimeters are likely at some places. Tomorrow, showers or thunder showers will occur at times in northern, eastern, north central and Uva provinces and in Matale district. Showers or thunder showers will occur elsewhere during the afternoon or night. Heavy showers of about 150 millimeters are likely at some places in eastern, Uva, central provinces and in the Polonnaruwa district. Heavy showers above 100 millimeters are likely at some places in northwestern and northern provinces and in the Anuradhapura district.
At least 28 people have been killed and 150 injured in a blast at a mosque in the Pakistani city of Peshawar. A section of the building was destroyed and officials say people are buried under the rubble. Most of those who died were part of the police force and it is believed that they were the target of the attack.
Security officials said a bomber sitting in the front row of the mosque had blown himself up. No group has admitted carrying out the bombing. Peshawar capital city police that between 300 and 400 police officials were present in the area at the time of the blast. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has strongly condemned it. In a statement, Sharif said those behind the incident, quote-unquote, have nothing to do with Islam. He added, quote, the entire nation is standing united against the menace of terrorism. The blast took place during afternoon prayers in the northwestern city around 1:30 local time, near the country's border with Afghanistan. A video circulating on social media and verified by the BBC shows that half of a wall has caved in. The mosque is covered in bricks and debris as people clamber over the rubble to escape.
Boris Johnson has said Vladimir Putin threatened him with a missile strike in an extraordinary phone call in the run-up to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The former UK Prime Minister said Putin told him it would only take a minute. Johnson said that the comment was made after he warned the war would be an utter catastrophe. And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight. Thank you for watching. You can always visit our website, that is www.newsfirst.lk, for all these stories and much more. Good night.